Hey guys, time for lesson 4, solving quadratic equations using the quadratic formula. And one thing I find super cool is one of the things that we do in pre-calc 20 that we don't do in foundations 20 is actually deriving the quadratic formula. So normally what I do with students is we solve for x here, and as we're solving for x here, we solve for x here, and that's how we get the quadratic formula. However, to save some time and just with the situation that we're in, what I'm going to do is just show it to you. It's not something that I put on a quiz or an exam, but how we separate the constant, divide both sides by 2, divide both sides by a. And so this one's, they're both quite, well, they're definitely not simple anyway, so we take the numerical coefficient of the linear term, divide it by 2 and square it. Did the same thing here, divided this by 2 and squared it. And what we do to one side, we do to the other. And then we take the square root of both sides. And then I kind of finish this one out. And when you get to here, for example, like what I always try to encourage students to do is look at this one and go, oh, you know what? What does that mean when it comes to this equation? What method could we have used based on these solutions that would have been so much easier? Starts with f. Absolutely, we totally could have factored this one. And so if we end up with radicals here, we know that it's not factorable. So what a crazy amount of work for just dealing with it as a difficult trinomial. But anyway, what's kind of neat over here is that we're isolating x, and just in just a couple more steps, so here we are, right? So the formula, and this is the one that works every single time. So some of the other methods, the square root method, obviously factoring, are kind of more in certain situations, but the quadratic formula works all the time. So, so x equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4 times a times c, all divided by 2a. So that's kind of what we're looking at here. I don't require students write out the formula unless you find it helps. I do it for these ones just because I find it helps me put in my variables in the right spot, because it's easy, especially with that negative b, I find. So a is 1, of course that's our numerical coefficient of the quadratic term, b is negative 5, c is 14. So I always write out the formula first. And the number of steps that you show for this is entirely up to you. I just find with this method it's a lot easier to make a silly mistake, right? So of course we've got the negative here and the negative. When we have a double negative, we end up with a positive. So I'll show what I normally would have shown had I been doing this on the smartboard. All divided by 2 times 1. So by all means not necessary, go right to the 2 if you want. And it's underneath this part right here, so the b squared minus 4 times a times c, that sometimes students, I don't know if they just do it too quickly. Here we go. So like I said, overdone in number of steps. It's just entirely up to you. So remember, we've got to do 2 separate calculations here. We've got to go 5 plus 8, which is, sorry, 5 plus 9, which is 14, divided by 2 is 7. 5 minus 9, which is negative 4, divided by 2, which is negative 2. Sorry about that. So again, we have 2 solutions, and what do we know about that? Because our answers are, I'm going to say rational, we know that it's totally factorable, right? Sure, and now we can see it. Easy trinomial, x minus 7 times x plus 2. Could have done it a lot faster, but of course specifically says quadratic formula. So in order to make this one work, we have to make it equal to 0. Square root of b squared minus 4a for 2a. So this time you can see that I did not write my a equals b equals, and if it works for you, then do it, and if not, don't worry about it. Extend that a little bit more over 2 times 9. And we have negative 6 plus or minus, and I always do this. I would recommend typing it in twice, just in case. And the reason I like to put this one in is this one allows us to just take a look at this at simplifying and how this works. And so we kind of have to make sure we watch out for that. So we have to look at these and decide, okay, what divides evenly into -6, plus or minus 6, and 18. That's how we simplify, because remember, this 18 goes with this part as well as this part. And so it's important that we simplify. And so you can look at it like -6 over 18 would be -1/3, just like this would also be 1/3, plus or minus. And of course, you can always write 1√5 here, divided by 3. And of course, we can tell by this set of answers that clearly this one is not factorable. So now we're left with -1 plus √5 divided by 3 and -1 minus √5 divided by 3. And that's today's lesson. So hope you guys are doing well and able to keep up with everything and staying healthy, of course. And we'll talk to you soon. Have a good rest of your day.